First tonight, a
Prime Crime Network
exclusive.
Welcome to the Filthy Badge series,
Police officers take an oath to protect and serve,
where we go precinct to precinct finding the dirtiest cops.
Deli joined the force in 2015, but tonight he's in jail charged with rape.
Some officers across the country are misusing that authority.
And now, the accused.
Police arrested Dallas police officer Brian Reiser, and he's now charged with 2 counts of capital murder from cases stemming back to 2017. Today, he was taken to Dallas County Jail for processing.
This individual has no business wearing this uniform.
According to Chief Eddie Garcia, the charges are from 2 unrelated murder victims from 4 years ago. One was a woman who was kidnapped and fatally shot. Another was a man who was also kidnapped and killed in February 2017. Reiser was initially identified as a person of interest in 2019, but even with help from the FBI, they never had enough evidence to arrest him. He's been out patrolling the community for the South Central Patrol Division while also under investigation for murder.
Prime Crime Network
Exclusive.
He gonna buy our lunch. He gonna buy our lunch for us today. Cause he ain't gonna make 5 in a row.
This is former Dallas police officer Brian Reiser playing hoops.
He gonna buy our lunch.
In the neighborhood he grew up in. His wife Ebony gave us the video.
He made it, so now that means he doesn't have to buy them lunch.
What?
She wanted people to see the husband, father, and police officer she knows.
What they're saying is everything my husband is not.
Chief, how long has he been on administrative leave?
Since he was taken into custody this morning.
On March 4th, Dallas Police Chief Eddie Garcia announced her husband's arrests on 2 counts of capital murder.
And so he's a person of interest until he becomes a suspect.
Reiser, seen here in jail booking video, is accused of hiring a hitman to kill 2 people in 2017. So you were together during all this time when he's allegedly ordering hits. I mean, how did that strike you?
Crazy. I mean, absolutely far-fetched, crazy, almost laughable if it wasn't so serious.
Does Brian have a lot of money?
No, he's a cop. No, he's a cop with 4 children and a wife.
The story starts in 2017. 4 people are killed in 48 hours, including a woman named Lisa Saenz. Emmanuel Kilpatrick is among those accused. Records show detectives will learn Saenz lived with Reiser's father, Byron. She'd been at his apartment just before she was abducted and killed. The officer's father was arrested later that year on federal narcotics trafficking charges. Reiser's attorney, Toby Shook.
I think police honed in on Brian Reiser because his father knew Lisa Saenz.
His wife and attorney say Brian Reiser also knew Saenz, but not well. Records show in August 2019, Kilpatrick came forward claiming Reiser, his former high school classmate, hired him to kill Saenz and Albert Douglas. Kilpatrick claims Reiser paid him $3,500 to kill Douglas. He told investigators Reiser promised $6,000 for the Saenz killing, but he never got paid.
He has every reason to lie and try to shift blame to someone else.
Shook says Reiser didn't even know Douglas. So why would he order him killed?
He would have no reason to have him killed.
Shook provided WFA a February 2017 cashier's check for $3,350 made out to a fraternity that Reiser joined. Shook says his client is adamant there were no other large cash withdrawals during that period. On Monday, Dallas police made a significant change in their arrest warrants for Reiser. The original warrant said Reiser's cell phone placed him in or about the area during the time frame of where both killings occurred. That was eliminated from the new warrants, which now says Reiser's cell phone was in areas where Kilpatrick claims they met to plan the killings.
There were no secret meetings, there was no planning for murders, anything like that.
Last week, Reiser's wife provided us copies of movie tickets that she says would have proven her husband was with her in the movies, not anywhere near where Saenz was killed. There's something else that doesn't make sense to Shook. Internal Affairs records show Reiser told homicide detectives he, quote, received a call on his personal cell phone from an unknown male who wanted to speak with police about a double murder. That cell phone ended up being Kilpatrick's. Reiser passed that information along before Kilpatrick's 2017 arrest.
That's the last thing you would do if you were involved in planning out murders, is give the hitman's phone number to the detective that's investigating the homicides.
We asked Dallas Police Chief Eddie Garcia for comment. A Dallas police spokesperson told WFA the department will not comment further until the investigation is closed. As for Kilpatrick, he's serving a life sentence on one of those murders.
Well, I think what happened in this case is a classic case of tunnel vision. The lead detective goes to the scene and makes his mind up of how this murder occurred, and then he tries to fit all the facts to fit his theory. And when you do that, bad things happen.
Ebony's husband calls from the Dallas County Jail twice a day. She believes the truth will set him free.
The man that I know and love is not capable of doing anything like this. To make sure other people know that he's an innocent man and his name needs to be cleared.
Prime Crime Network.
It was exclusive.
Yeah, but this afternoon, a judge ruled there's no probable cause to hold him. Matt Howerton is live outside the Dallas County Jail. He has new details on what just happened today.
Well, Chris and Izzy, this was a huge moment and win for former DPD officer Brian Reiser. A month ago, he was charged with 2 counts of capital murder. A little over a month later, he is now walking out of jail, and he doesn't have to worry about those charges for now, at least. Moments ago, he was just let out of jail. He came here in front of our cameras and said that DPD has disrespected him, told us that he has been embarrassed by the department, and then he quickly left to go towards the parking lot and leave the county jail. Reiser was charged in connection to the 2017 slayings of Albert Douglas and Lisa Saenz. He was accused of paying and ordering 3 men to kill Douglas and Saenz. He lost his job as a cop because of the charges and has been jailed since. But in a rare examining trial today, Reiser's attorney and the Dallas DA publicly came to an agreement that there was no probable cause for Reiser's case to continue, be prosecuted, or even be heard by a grand jury. A detective even admitted on the stand that he made errors in the arrest warrant, like affirming that cell phone data placed Reiser near the area where Douglas and Saenz disappeared in 2017 and were killed. That detail was removed from a new arrest document, which sparked much of today's developments. Here's Reiser's attorney, Toby Shook.
That's the major problem with this case, is the decision by Chief Garcia to order that arrest. Why he did that, what information he was given, I think it had to be obviously faulty information he was relying on. He has to rely on someone, and you've seen the affidavit, which had all kinds of mistakes in it.
Now, the investigation into Reiser is ongoing. Dallas PD can add and file new evidence if it wants, but until it does that, Reiser doesn't have to worry about these charges for now. He wants an apology. His family wants an apology, and he says he will now breathe free air. In Dallas tonight, I'm Matt Howerton.
All right, thank you, Matt. We're going to stay on top of this. Obviously, today in court, as you just saw Matt mention, Reiser's attorney argued that this case against his client is filled with holes. I am joined now by former Judge Robert Cañas. Judge, the DA released a statement saying there was insufficient probable cause, while still making it clear prosecutors are not walking away and the investigation is not closed. How much does it hurt any eventual prosecution if the DA has to admit this publicly now?
I think it hurts the case tremendously because they're making that admission. I mean, you would like to have seen the police and the prosecutor working together, or the police bringing the prosecutors in earlier in this case, because they're going to have the defense is going to bring this up again later in the case.
Now, Officer Reiser was never suspected of pulling the trigger. He was accused of hiring a hitman to kill them. And it's the alleged hitman who was pointing the finger at Reiser. In your experience, how much weight do judges and juries usually give a witness like that?
Well, the witness like that is going to be an X factor. You know, if he takes a stand and he's credible, if he says, hey, I brought this information forward because I'm trying to clear my conscience, that might be enough to persuade a jury. Other criminal cases have been made on less. But the defense, of course, is going to point out that he's a convicted murderer. Why should we believe him without other evidence? And so maybe the police are working to create other connections so they're not just wholly relying on this one witness.
Now, the warrant gives a lot of weight to the accused hitman who claims that Reiser wanted Lisa Saenz dead. because Reiser believes she was an informant in a separate case. How strong a motive is that in terms of building a successful case against him?
Well, I think that a motive like that you would want to see a little stronger, only in the sense that the prosecution's going to have to give the jury some reason that a police officer would do this, would commit this crime. You know, where is that connection? Why does he want to do that? While a motive is not an element to any crime, it sure goes a long way to persuading a jury that the crime was committed, and that's really what the prosecution is going to need to prove.
And lastly, Judge, how does the DA and the Dallas Police Department just end up on completely different pages when it comes to a case of this magnitude?
Yeah, you know, historically, or at least in Dallas, the police don't bring cases to the DA's office before they file them. That may happen in other jurisdictions, but that doesn't happen here. And I think in a high-profile case, especially when they're investigating one of their own, this may have been one of the cases that should have been an exception to that rule, and they should have brought the DA in much earlier.
All right, Judge Robert Conyers, hopefully we can bring you back in because I have suspicion that we haven't heard the last of this case. We thank you for bringing that context to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching Prime Crime Network, your source for urban and suburban and around the world news. Hit the subscribe, like, and the notification bell. And check us out on PrimeCrimeNetwork.com.